Welcome to Engaging ESG, where we consider, challenge, and celebrate the evolving world of environmental, social, and governance communications. I'm Jennifer Owen, Senior Director of Marketing at Caesar.
And I'm Katie Callens, Global Sustainability Lead at Adobe. For Season 3, we're talking with climate communications leaders who are shaping the future of sustainability messaging. From connecting with stakeholders to crafting compelling impact stories, we'll uncover the strategies that worked and learn from those that didn't.
Whether you're a seasoned pro or new to the field, you'll find practical tips and insights in every episode.
And whether you're working on your first sustainability report or reimagining your organization's climate narrative, these conversations will help you navigate the complexities of ESG communications. Let's get started.
Katie, how are you doing?
Hey, Jen. I'm great. How are you?
I'm pretty good. I am feeling particularly good because I'm very excited about our guest today. So he is someone who has truly helped us shape how big companies, the big players, actually approach and communicate around sustainability, which is just such a gem for us to have on our show today.
Yes, we're really fortunate to have someone who both brings deep expertise as well as a thoughtful perspective to this space, who's done the work making it happen in the companies, but also has been doing so for an extended period of time. So they really know a lot, but I'll let you do the full intro.
Thank you. So today we're speaking with Iannuzzi. He's Vice President of Sustainability at the Estée Lauder Companies. At Estée, Al directs enterprise-wide sustainability strategy goals and objectives. He oversees climate and energy, building operations, and product sustainability programs, and supports brands with their sustainability initiatives. Because if you're like me, you have 90% of the Estée Lauder brands in your home and on your bureau, because I know I do. He's also an accomplished author, having written 3 books, including the newly updated Greener Products, the Making and Marketing of Sustainable Brands. And we are going to go into a deep dive in the book in just a second. But before Estée, Al was spent a lot of his career at Johnson & Johnson, where he developed sustainability strategies across their consumer, medical device, and pharmaceutical divisions. All of which is to say, welcome to Engaging ESG, Al. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Welcome. We're really excited to have you here, especially because, as Jen just noticed, you've had a really impressive career influencing sustainability at large companies like Estée Lauder and Johnson & Johnson. And so we were thinking maybe we could start with that at the top. How have you seen the conversation around sustainable products evolve? Have we finally shifted from a nice to have to more of a business imperative? And where do you see the storyline shifting in 2025?
That's great.
Yeah, great way to start. We're in an interesting spot right now, right? It's pretty amazing. In the news, there's like something new happening every day and some new challenges happening every day. And I can tell you at Estée Lauder, we have had a lot of headwinds that have come against us when it comes to inflation, when it comes to the new administration in place. Most luxury good companies are not doing as well as they once did. A lot has to do with the headwinds in China, where the Chinese consumer is not buying luxury goods at the same rate as they once did. This is pretty well publicized if you look at any reviews of luxury good companies. So we've got all this going against us, but at the same time, we look at our key stakeholders, 3 key stakeholders. One has to do with our investors. And I'll tell you that when I first started 6 years ago at Estée Lauder, we had a handful of calls with investors on sustainability. This past year, we had 30 plus calls with investors on sustainability. So that continues to be, you have to pay attention to investors, right? That's pretty important. So that's one really promising thing. And the other one is really consumers. And we've seen a lot of data, especially Gen Z and millennial consumers who are trying to get over to our side, right, to start to buy our goods. They're extremely interested in sustainability and buying products from what I would call responsible companies that are doing the right thing, that they feel really good about, buying a product from that company. And then the other stakeholder is really our employees. Our employees are interested in not just having a job, but working for a company that is doing the right thing. So from that alone, we have to do that. And I saw some stats recently which said like roughly 12% of employees feel like their company is doing a good job with climate issues. So that's not very high.
Wow.
So it's really something to focus on and to let your employees know what you're doing, and not just putting words out there, but actually showing progress and helping them understand that you're super committed. And the other thing that I speak about in my book too, which I think is a pretty important issue because it kind of overlays everything I just mentioned. It really has to do with, if you look at the world in general and you look at where growth is coming from, in both China and India, the middle class is predicted to grow tremendously over into 2030. And with that increased wealth, the middle class wants to have products that you and I have, right?
Right.
Cell phones, computers, televisions, cars, etc. All those things need raw materials. And at a very minimum, there would be a greater competition for raw materials because it's not an infinite amount of raw materials out there, and it's getting more and more expensive to extract and to develop these raw materials or grow, if it's agricultural raw materials. So that alone should make companies pause and think about how they're developing products and to do things in a different, more efficient manner.
Right. Well, in your book, that's a wonderful setup. You have this phrase that there's no such thing as a green product. And so I would love you to kind of explain that statement, because that's one of those like grappling hook statements up over the wall that catches people's attention. So what does that mean? And what does that mean in practice?
Yeah, that's why I say it, because it does get. I speak a lot to students at master's degree level and on undergraduate too. And whenever I speak, I always go, there's no such thing as a green product. How does that make you feel?
Yeah.
Like, think about the greenest product in your mind. And what I usually say is I typically think of like a method product or a seventh generation product. We use those products in my home. And they do a really great job on how they develop products and everything. But after that, if I'm doing a PowerPoint presentation, I'll show a life cycle of a product where it shows like there's agricultural raw materials being grown, there's transportation, there's the manufacturing process, there's waste involved with the process, there's also wastewaters that are generated, then there's further transportation to the use where the product is sold and then used, the use phase, there's impacts there. And then finally, at the end of the life of the product, and the package it hopefully gets put back into commerce and gets recycled, but it might get landfilled or incinerated. So every product has an opportunity to get better and to improve. That's why I say there's no such thing as a green product. And how do you define what green is anyway? But it's a greener product. So that's why I titled my book Greener Products. And I also say there's no such thing as a sustainable company, because sustainability is a journey. And you're always managing new issues, and there's always more room for improvement.
That's true.
Yeah, no, I like the provocative idea that something can't just be fully sustainable or green. And I think if we're thinking of products and companies within shades of green, right, that also allows for more opportunity for improvement and the understanding that there's going to be variability, which is, I hear you referencing that. That actually leads nicely into another topic of your book that we wanted to touch upon, which was great green marketing in particular. Wondering if you had any specifics around campaigns that have caught your eye, or any lessons from comms professionals that are listening about what we should be taking as we think about this in our own work, as we're talking about not fully green, but hopefully more than not green products.
Green marketing is a tricky business, right? And I devoted 4 chapters in my book to green marketing. And one of the chapters which I wrote has to do with how to avoid greenwashing, and there's something called the definitions of greenwashing, which I cover in there, but also other examples of not so good green marketing, but lots of case studies of really good green marketing, both from a business to consumer perspective, which we usually think of, but also business to business green marketing too. One of the examples that I use in my book I really like what the Honest Company did and how they communicate the green marketing aspects, because the name of Honest Tea, I should say, the name it alone conveys like it's got to be wholesome, right? And then they emphasize organic, for example. So they use the USDA organic third-party eco logo, and that's use of third-party eco logos, the ones that are really gold-plated, is a great way to prevent greenwashing, right? And I kind of boiled down marketing messaging to like a couple of keys which you need to really pay attention to. Number one, probably the most important one, is to have science-based facts and data behind everything you say. What gets companies in trouble is when they use generalities or they overstate things, right? The other thing is connecting your greener product story to what's most important to your target market. So I could be saying, hey, this product uses less water, but the customer is most interested in energy efficiency. So even though you improve the product from that perspective, they're going to want to know what resonates and what's most important to them.
It's still marketing, right?
Yeah. And you have to have that connection and that nexus there. Those are really important. And then just not overstating claims and making sure that you do have all of your data to substantiate anything that you say publicly. And I say use of third-party eco logos. I speak about that in my book too. And there are some that are widely used, which I put in my book, that are widely used by major corporations. And that does really resonate. Anything third-party endorsed resonates with the consumer or the customer, because it's showing that, it's not just something cooked up by the company. It makes the claims more believable.
Just to play devil's advocate for a second there, I totally agree with the labels, but I also think then it puts on the consumer the knowledge of what the legitimate labels are versus ones that were maybe made up by a company.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on, like, as someone who's looking at products in this space, how to disseminate without doing a whole Google search on the reputability of the third-party label, et cetera?
Yeah, it's unfortunately not that easy for consumers. I'm one of those consumers who reads the ingredients on the back of a product before I buy it. And I think what it all boils down to is a matter of trust with the brand that you're buying products from. That's why when I speak about sustainability, I say sustainability has an offensive and defensive strategy. The offensive strategy is you're doing something good and you communicate it, right? This package contains 30% post-consumer recycled content. Before that, it didn't. I'm communicating it. That's an offensive thing. But if I get found out that I'm doing something that's not responsible, that's preventing that from being an issue, is the defensive strategy. And that's where you can really get slammed. And that's how brands, they really lose the trust of the consumer. So you really have to make sure you're paying attention to all these different issues. Transparency is one of the best ways to gain consumers' trust. One of the things we did at Estée Lauder is we made it a goal that we would put a list of key ingredients of our products and what the purpose is on our website. And many of our brands have done the same thing on their websites too. It's part of that there has to be a level of trust. And I agree with you. I mean, just because there's a label on it, it also could be considered not.
Yeah, it's organic certified. By whom,
Yeah, right. Exactly. That's why there are like really legitimate and widely used eco logos. But in my book, I even say, though, the United States public, there's only like 3 eco logos that 50% of the population actually heard of and recognize. So you got that going for you too. So
at least you can.
It all matters with the reputation of the company and the trust you can build with your customer.
Well, and then we're talking about it and we're pushing back, like, what are the certifications? Then you have these companies that are like, they fear the greenwashing. And like, will that ever go away? Or it'll never fully go away. But I also think it's an excuse. That's my, like, we don't want to be accused of greenwashing, so we just won't say anything. And like, when will that page turn in this book?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've heard marketers say that, and I've also heard marketers say, well, we're afraid to communicate on this improvement
Right.
that we made on this one product because we didn't do it on some of our other product lines. And I'm like, as long as it's fact-based and you've got the data behind it, you should speak about it. One of the other things that I say in my book, besides there's no such thing as a green product, is what good is a greener product if nobody knows about it, right? So that the whole
Right.
green hushing thing is kind of perplexing to me. Like if you did something really good, you should speak about what you've done, as long as you
Yeah.
have the data to speak to it, then why not tell your consumers? So, I mean, I think it has to do with the brand. It has to do with the culture in the brand on the whole, being comfortable
Yeah.
speaking about it and getting past that. I mean, there's new regulations out there now in Europe for anti
Hmm.
greenwashing regulations too. But you just have to have you have the marketers who are willing to do this and know that it'll make a difference in the marketplace.
And if we accept the idea that this is a journey, like you're never done,
Right.
then you can talk about steps in the journey that you've accomplished, it would seem to me, because you're never done iterating your product. You're
Nope.
not going to not talk about your product
Yep.
just because there's more places for you to go. So, yeah, I'm a little tired of, I think it's a little bit of I think it's an excuse. It's something to hide behind. Fears of greenwashing. It's like,
Yeah.
well, say
Yeah.
what you can, man. So,
But you could be missing a big market opportunity. In my book, I speak about green marketing as an end, AND. And what I mean by that is that if you're selling a product and all things being equal with the quality, the effectiveness of the product and the price point, if I can prove that my product is more sustainable than my competitor, all things being equal, I should win in the marketplace.
right.
So I look at it as an end and not as something that necessarily you're doing so you can command a much greater price.
Hmm.
Well, speaking of communications, you had mentioned this at the top as well that you sometimes do guest lecturing at several universities, which means you're getting connected with this next gen of ESG professionals.
Mm-hmm.
I also teach, and so I appreciate the opportunity to get to engage with those folks. Wondering what conversations you're having with these students and any skills that you think are critical for them as they think about a career on this path.
Yeah, I was just talking to somebody who reached out to me through LinkedIn this past week too, and she is like looking for a job and she's getting a little questioning, did I pick the right field of
Wow.
sustainability, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, most people who are in this field are in the field because they want to have a job where they make a difference, right? And
Hmm.
you're doing good. And I was like telling her some of the things that I work on, like even when it comes to human rights and like the living wage. Like you could be working on something that where you're affecting the livelihood of somebody in Southeast Asia, because you're in a corporation
Yeah.
like that. So I was kind of giving her a little bit of a pep talk to saying, yeah, I get it. Like the jobs are not as prevalent as they once were, but I believe that things are going to get better as the economy picks up. And I think as we move forward, now there's reporting regulations out there too, which are going to generate more, I think, work in the
Need.
field
Yeah.
and get and rope in some companies that maybe were not reporting at a certain point in time. I mean, most major large companies are doing reporting on sustainability, but I see the field as something that really attracts people who are concerned about the world and wanting to make the world a better place. And I feel like the work that I do and that my team does really is making our products better, the way our company operates better, and even encouraging other companies to do similar things too.
Right. And then for those of us who are in the field with these headwinds that are hitting us and, the work is never done, the work only gets harder. How are you sustaining yourself? How do you advise people to kind of keep at it? I mean, this is a tough moment right now.
Yeah. The advice I give my team as we go through these tough financial times, right? Globally, I think most companies are struggling a little bit, and our company is looking at everything we spend in a very more stringent manner than ever since I've been here, the 6 years I've been working.
Wow.
I know other companies are doing the same thing. I tell everybody on my team, you're a leader, right? And you're a leader in sustainability, regardless of your title. And we should never be the ones who say no. If we really feel the company should be working on, fill in the blank, whatever it is, we should present the business case, because that's when you work in business, you have to have a business case for everything. Present the business case, why we feel we should be working on it. And then this is what, if we don't do it, what will happen. And this is why we should do it if we want to be considered a sustainability leader, etc. And this is what our peers are doing. We share a lot of benchmarks. And by presenting that to top management, let them say no, is what I say.
Let's bring the solutions to the table.
Yeah. Don't you be leading with a no, or, we shouldn't even do this. Even though I think something we should be working on, we shouldn't be shy. We should still lead in these times. And we're sustainability leaders, and that's what we should be bringing to the company.
Oh, I love that.
Mm-hmm.
It's a solution-minded approach to everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I love it.
Yeah, I think it's true that many of us have been able to work in this field for decades, not because we brought problems to problems, but brought solutions to the problems, right?
Yeah.
And I think it can sometimes, I'll just say for me personally, in these moments, it's hard to maybe show up to work every day with the same amount of optimism and energy, but showing up and still being there day after day, knowing that we're navigating new waters and we can still be there to work with our internal colleagues and folks who do want to still be leading this, because they definitely still exist.
Yep.
I really like that perspective.
We've lived through tough times before, and the pendulum's back and forth, and you just got to be positive. I mean, that's one of the things I also say: just stay positive. Don't let anything drag you down, and just keep on moving forward.
I mean, I grew up in a city that was the basis of the impetus for the Clean Water Act, because our river caught on fire in the 70s. So never use we let a challenge like this go to waste. This could be a lot of good things could come out of this. That's when you think, but not every morning do you wake up with a smile on your face.
Yep. Yeah. Sometimes you just got to encourage yourself, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And speaking of encouragement, we wanted to close the conversation with a question to you about what is on your reading list these days. Are there any good podcasts that you're listening to besides your book, of course?
Yeah, of course, which we will put in the show notes,
Yes. Yeah, but just anything that's sparking interest. It could be climate related, or some folks also give us answers of non-climate related content.
Yeah. Well, I'll give you one thing that I do is I read the Wall Street Journal every day, and I get it. And I think being a sustainability leader is being business minded is going to make you more effective. So I think it doesn't have to be the Wall Street Journal. It could be any business aspect of it. And personally, I really love reading anything about sustainability. I love to read what other companies are doing. And I especially when I go to conferences, I love to hear what they're working on and seeing how I might be able to apply those concepts, or it reinforces what we're doing already. But I like the newsletters. I read the Green Biz newsletter. I read the Sustainable Brands newsletter, the electronic newsletters regularly. Environmental Leader. Those are the ones I always try to look at. I just like to scan. I like to see what they're doing. I mean, there's some of the big consulting firms that put out newsletters on sustainability too, like EY or Deloitte and McKinsey. Those are good to check too. Regarding books, I have a book that I'm wanting to get to. It's called The Values of Values by Daniel Aronson. He's done some work for our company too in the past, and it has to do with the valuing and hidden values of the things you're doing from a sustainability perspective. And then one other thing I would like to throw out there too is, like, one of the people who wrote a chapter in my book is Suzanne Shelton, and she does a lot of research on consumer trends and how to market to those consumers. And she has like free newsletters out there. And I would encourage anybody to go to her website too. She got bought out by ERM, so I think it's called ERM Shelton Group.
Oh, yes.
You could go to her website and find free resources there too. And she's always updating. She has this Eco Pulse survey. And the thing I like about what she does is she makes it real practical. And what are the messages that matter the most to consumers in the space of sustainability. So that's kind of like how I look at things and the type of things I'm looking at and reading.
Ah, that's great. Ah, what else can we pump him for, Katie? We have Al here. I think we've taken up his time enough. And thank you so much for joining us. This has been so great to go to the source. I kind of feel like, Katie, I don't want his head to get too big, but I feel like we're talking to like one of the faces on Mount Rushmore for sustainable comms.
Yeah, that'll be the day.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Al. We'd make it out of a sustainable material, of course.
Yeah, that's right. Completely.
Maybe limestone. It will disintegrate eventually.
Sounds good.
It's enhanced rock weathering Mount Rushmore. Yeah. Great. I love it.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity. Yeah, it was really great to talk to you guys in a nice casual manner. Hopefully people will get something out of this podcast and put something to practice.
I think they will. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you for joining us on Engaging ESG. Have a question for us to consider or a strategy you'd like us to cover? Email us today at engagingesg@gmail.com.
Please remember to rate, review, and subscribe to Engaging ESG today. It helps us grow, and even better, be sure to share the podcast with your favorite sustainability, diversity, or social impact colleague. And until next time, keep engaging.
This podcast is part of the Sound Advice FM network. Sound Advice FM, women's voices amplified.